All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are on the sidelines with the Sideline Guys. I'm your host, Dwayne Dickey. You already know what time it is, and we are joined by a returning guest. You guys know his voice very, very well. And of course, a brand new guest that we're going to welcome onto the show. It is amazing to have him. So let's start with the returning guest. You already know my man, Jonathan Tirado.
What's up?
Jonathan, talk to the people. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, brother? Hey, I'm here, man. Let's talk. I was happy to bring Adam along over here and get him to explain what he's doing for our youth out here. So let's get Adam introduced. They know who I am. So
Let's do this, man. And you must excuse me. I'm usually known for my intros here, so this is totally off the freestyle whip right now. But we got a man of a list of many things that he is doing in his local community. He is all about the youth. He is a football coach, all kind of things, man. This man has football knowledge out the woodworks. So I'm actually going to let him kind of tell y'all a little bit more, and I'm just going to put a smooth intro to this thing. But without further ado, let me introduce Adam to the Sideline Guys. Adam, how are you feeling, good sir? Talk to the people.
Well, I'm doing good, man. Adam McCann of King to King, athletic training and mentoring for the youth and student athletes in the Western New York area, which now has gone out to North Carolina, Atlanta, and all kinds of places. But just about me, just a football coach, receiver coach during the year, and in the off season, athletic trainer, mentor, and recruiting coordinator. Right now has one of the biggest athletes in the area, Jimmy Scott, that was at St. Joe's with me, now is at St. Francis. He just got his 13th offer today from North Carolina State. So he has 12 Power 5 offers, and he has one offer from UB, so they total into 13. And I have a total of I don't know. We'll get into that. I got a lot of guys right now with offers right now. It's a blessing.
Awesome.
It's definitely a blessing, man. It's their talents just mixed up with what I can do. So,
right.
That
So
is
where'd you kind of start off in the whole coaching career? I mean, do you want to give a little bit of background on that? Where you started off, where you're at now?
all right, man. I started off, see how old I am right here. About 12, 13 years ago, I started off at GC Cowboys, a Pee Wee Football League football team organization. EMAC gave me my first job as like a special teams coordinator, special teams coach, for like 12-year-olds. Then that went to being a defense coordinator with SHU. I was with that organization for 12 to 13 years. Stepped away to help my son's football career. He's like 5 to 7 years old. So for those 2 years, I was with them. And then the last 3 years, I've been at St. Joe's Collegiate Institute, a private school, which now I'm at Western New York Maritime Charter School, now doing receiver coach at both jobs, and doing at both schools being the NCAA recruiting coordinator for all the athletes.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, brother, that is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, man. That's what it's saying. So would you say, like, throughout, what made you want to get into King to King? So, I mean, obviously being around those kids, being a coach, did you see things that you thought, hey, I could be a spot in these kids' life? What was really
so when I started King to King, I was laid off 3 years ago from a job. Got up, prayed. God said, use your passion. Went to sleep that day. Didn't know what God was talking about. God said, woke up again, use your passion. So it went on for 3 days. And on the fourth day, I woke up and I said, man, I'm going to start my own training program. And I said, everyone got a training program. How can I make it different? So what King to King does is teaches them how to be an athlete on and off the field.
Come on.
When I was in high school, my high school coach didn't send my film off. Now it was a lot easier to send film off because now it's just a link. Back then, when I was in high school, it was a VHS tape. So with him not sending that off, I was slept on. I wasn't like a big time athlete, but I could have played D2 ball at minimum. I had a scholarship at a school, walk-on scholarship that my cousin helped me out get. But my coach never sent the film out, so I didn't go. So that's what fueled King to King, is that a lot of these high school coaches, no offense to them, they're the principal, the gym teacher, and then the high school football coach. Then out of that, they got their mom to take care of, their wife to take care of their kids. Some of them don't have the passion I have of sending off film because they don't have my story, you know what I'm saying? So it's no knock to them at all. But, I use my story to create a business for all the athletes in the Western New York area that I work with anybody, no matter what school they go to.
Wow. Okay. So, I know a little bit about King to King, knowing obviously since I'm in the Buffalo area. Adam's a good friend of my brother. That's how I met Adam. And I obviously hear amazing things from Angel and just in general, looking through all the Facebook posts and Twitter posts and all those things. And people speak highly of you all the time. So I've noticed, and it obviously being a good thing, is you focus on off the field in the sense of school too, though, right? So they're not it's student athlete, and knowing that you're a mentor, I think that's the most important, especially in the communities that we deal with and we see every day, right? So get into that. Like how do you guys really affect that? What is the focus and who does that focus?
So during training, every training group, if it's an hour training, if it's our Saturday 2-hour training, if it's our hour training at the beginning, at the end, 5-10 minutes of mentoring about what's going on, maybe about something I seen on one of their posts, something that's going on in the world, some nuggets to give them, so maybe something that a coach told me about one of them. On Saturdays, we get into a 2-hour workout, which I give them probably a 20-minute break, where they sit down after they check their phone, so no one has no distractions. Either I'm doing it or I bring somebody else in. I brought one NFL player in, Trent Murphy. He was blessed to do it for me for free. I've been trying to get other Bills players to do it for free. Can't pay that bill. But he did it for free. I got a friend I went to high school. He comes every year and does it. Then I have friends around the community. I have your brother Angel doing it. I have my friend Anthony Farrell, that is he's in charge of the mentoring. And then once a year, I just started now this year. It's called King Mentality Academy. COVID messed that up. Messed with the weather.
Messed everything up.
We went between the weather and COVID. We went over finances, how to market yourself, business plans, men etiquette, saying how to be a better brother, how to be a better sister, how to be a better, just a better sibling in the house, how to be that uplifting guy in the house on and off the field, because on the field it's kind of easy for them to score touchdowns. It's the other stuff that, they need to sell and have, when they leave out of town to other areas.
Right. And it's just funny because we talk about leadership, right? Whether it's community or on the field, I feel like what you guys are doing, if they can have that leadership at home, the possibilities are endless. I mean, you're teaching people how to be better people. And I mean, you're athletic. Jimmy Scott's I've heard of him. He's 13 offers for D1, but you teach them more than just it's football. And I can see that just off a Facebook post alone. You know what I mean? I think that's the most important thing. So you talk about the world and giving them that world view and giving them lessons on things going on in the world. What would be your lesson with what's going on today? So you see the riots, the looting, and things like that. And I will say this: we have another podcast that focuses specifically on racial injustices and issues in politics and everything. Right? It's called Time Out. And we like to bring everything, because whether people want to believe it or not, sports have to do with everyday life.
Yes.
Right? People are always going to – sports can make a difference. And that's by who is in the sports and people who speak for it. I guess what would be your message to them? So for me, I wouldn't say I agree with rioting and violence and things like that, but I understand it.
Yeah. I
understand why people are pissed off. I hate the whole racial divide, but it ain't black people's fault. You know what I mean? So, and not to say you only work with black people. I mean, you obviously work with all kids, no matter what. Yeah. But what would be your message? Because that's even perfect, is the fact you are working with white, black, anybody who in between. The same message given to our youth is going to change everything for generations to come. So, what would be your message on that?
So I started last week with and it's been two messages really. The first message is teaching them the difference between the protesting and the looting, because there's a difference. But not many people are teaching and showing how to protest and how to stand up properly. The news is showing the looting and the shooting and people doing this to cops doing that to people, which is important. Don't get me wrong. But these kids only see the negative, and they don't know that there's people that's honestly trying to make a difference for them in the future. And there's people right now that's standing up the right way for them. So I'm teaching them, the difference between that, and last year we talked about quite a few times of, if you do get pulled over with your friends, of do's and don'ts. That can help. That can go a long way. It's not a perfect system of how you get pulled over, but it's some do's and don'ts. And then one of the biggest things that we're going to talk about this weekend is the culture, that if the world adapted the locker room culture, the world would be a different place. What I mean by locker room culture is if you go into an NFL locker room, college locker room, there's 110 guys. 110 guys from different races, different backgrounds, different traumatic experiences, different, upbringings, and none of them, 99% of them get along. Like, they're a family, they're knitted. Like, when they go to war, they go to war with each other. When they're in practice, they're at war with each other. Like, they are a family. If the world got that and seen that more, I think it probably would help if they adopted that system. Because, man, 125 men getting along and fighting for one cause is a powerful thing.
Right. And,
I love that you, not, if I could, I would like to chime in on what Adam just said there, because that's a very important statement you just made. And I feel like that's really deep, because a lot of people don't understand really, what I think of when you say that. I think about Remember the Titans,
Yes.
Think about how
yes, sir.
that was a legit movie that would teach everybody about just how powerful sports is, as far as taking racial division and suddenly making it to where, like you saw, where coach had them literally, well, even with the coaches, there was racial tension and how they were able to get along,
Yep.
and it took a minute, but when they got along, all of a sudden, they're getting with each other in the system, and they're finding out, like, okay, that's your strength, so you do this is my strength, I'll do this, together, boom. And then going off and starting in the training camp to where it's literally just them,
Yep.
and how after they come out of training camp, they're all together, then they face the world. And then all of a sudden reality started coming back in for a second, but then they were able to, like, kind of get it back together and realize, like, wait a minute, we family, we're a team, and how it just really played into everyday life. So I really love that. And my question for you on top of that thought would be, how would you, not in a politician kind of way, but just literally, like, how would you, as someone who's making a difference in your community like that, if you were in a position to literally make the world, like, get the world to apply that philosophy, what's a way you would go about doing that?
Man, like how we do it in football. You pick a theme and you run with it, and you beat it in their head. Like, they see it everywhere they go. We had a philosophy at St. Joe's last year. It was called family. Period after every letter. So family was forget about me, I love you. Which that was the theme for the year. So I might not be my 100%, but for you, or because you love me, you're going to pick up my 100%. So you doing 200% because you love me. So like I said, the things I've learned through football is the things I now apply in life. Like, there's no such thing as football don't relate to anything you do in life. No, football relates to everything. So I would just, on an everyday basis, they would see it. Like at my house, I got sticky notes. I got sticky notes everywhere. Like, so I see certain things. And that way, it goes into my brain. Like, we have rubber bands, for all the kids on our football team, and they wore it. It was times where the referee's like, hey, you got to take that off or tape it up. Kids like, I'm not taking it off, I'm taping it up. And they hate playing with tape, but they'll tape their wrist up because that's how much that rubber band meant to them, because it's a message. And just teaching them the purpose behind the message is what you really got to do too, though.
You know what? That's interesting because you hear all these sports should stay away from life, and this is my way to get away. It's like that's not true. We have
Yeah,
an avenue, or you specifically have an avenue to teach kids how to be better people.
yeah,
And why would we not want that, right? That's for anybody because obviously knowing how some kids are raised incorrectly, however you see it,
yeah,
whether it's racist or any other thing like that, you can bring people together in every type of sport. I mean, or every type of locker room and with that culture. And it's you're a blessing, man. Honestly, what you
I
do for
appreciate it.
not only the Buffalo community, um, now you're saying to get into Carolina, but Jimmy Scott is an example. He could bring that to different areas, and he can be the next leader. He could be the next Adam McCann when he's retired from whatever he's doing,
Yeah.
for his area or his people or whatever
Yep.
the case is. So that that's how we make change. We need to
Yep.
change generations now, teach them the right way, because honestly, man, I don't know if we'll ever see the change. Like we will be long gone and dead before we see it. Before we'll
Yeah.
never see it. But the
You
next
never lie.
generations can live a good life. We can
Yep.
try our best to make sure that's the case, and your program is exactly what we're looking for in terms of leading that youth.
Yeah.
So
There's a saying that leaders' job is to create other leaders.
right. and
My
you
job
and
is my job is to create other leaders to replace me and to add their juice on it or their flow on it and get put their piece into this world.
right,
You know? So
exactly. So I would just ask, what would you say has been or is the biggest hurdle? Because in the end, kids are kids. So
yeah,
they want to do what they want to do. I get it. I was a kid. I did shit I wasn't supposed to do. It is what it is. But you have to keep them on that fast track, and you need to keep them safe, for lack of better words.
yes,
Because with the way the world is now, without your leadership or without anybody's leadership, kids are going to fail. So
yeah.
what's the biggest hurdle? Obviously it can be just kids not listening, but what have you kind of done to make sure that they're staying on track? I mean, do you do like follow-ups with them, or have your mentors check in on them? Like, obviously it's an open phone line on their end to you, but how often
Yeah.
are you kind of following up?
So if I don't see an athlete, so if we train 3 times a week and I only see them once, I follow up with them off the field. How you doing? This and that. Any athlete that I train in the summer, I follow up and I watch their games during the season. I pop up at their games. I call their parents. I ask their parents how the grades are doing. I ask them out how they're doing. But one of the biggest hurdles is the negative influences that they have. Just because they see a lot of it. It's not so much that they are trying to portray somebody they don't want to be, but it's just like we got guys with high platforms that's flossing the wrong things. And so it's hard. Back then when it was easy for me to be a student athlete. Now it was a lot more distractions and everything in the world to
Social
distract them
media.
from being it's so much for them to distract us from being a great student athlete. So I just follow up with them. I'll be consistent with them. My message don't never blur. If you Jimmy Scott with Power Fives to my other guy, that's a 2021 Dave Medley with 3 or 4 offers to if you Keith Jackson, if one of the best athletic guys in the class of 21, that's going to be shifty. It don't matter who you are. You could be a guy with a D3 or no offers. You're held to the same standard.
I like that. I like that. It's also scary too, man. It's you teach them to stay on track, but you spoke to when they get pulled over and how they react. It's sad. I mean, you have kids.
Yep.
To tell a minority, I mean, obviously we're all minorities here. I'm Rican, you guys are black, and um, Dwayne and I have talked about. I get. I don't want to say this. I want to say this correctly. So I get almost the luxury of being able to look. I don't look Hispanic. I mean, I'm fair skinned, but a lot of people who are black don't get that luxury.
No.
And it's sad that we need to teach them. Mind you, every interaction with law enforcement needs to be calm and collected for anyone, but I feel like we have to teach them a little more. And they
Yes.
notice. I mean, they're kids, but they know. They're like, why do I
Yeah.
need to be taught this? But this white kid over here doesn't. It's
Yep.
it's a scary thing, but at the same time, we're just trying to keep them safe.
Yeah.
So that's the best we can do. We try to make that impact, and you are. We see it, bro.
I appreciate it.
Dwayne, I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah. So what I would like to ask you, Adam, also with the importance of mentoring, on average, how many kids have you mentored so far? Would you say are products of a single parent? More specifically, probably a single mother. Without father figures, because generally, especially with what you do with athletics, what's so great about the culture of football and even with basketball as well, just in the aspect of coaching and mentoring, a lot of times when you have that and you don't have a father figure around, as you grow, it's a form of discipline you have because they can rely on you. But like you said, I noticed you said you go to the games and check up on them, and a lot of things that are important in a role models type of lifestyle. So,
Yes.
on average, how many kids would you say have come through to your program that are raised by single parents?
I want to say like at least a mass majority of them. I want to throw out a statistic, probably about 80%. Might be higher, might be a little bit lower, but it's definitely a lot of the guys, that come through that is living in a single household. I grew up at one. That was one of my first few years. My first year, we talked about like let's not let that be an excuse. Let's not let that be an excuse for you to get an ID number. What I call an ID number is that criminal pin. We don't want that. We want a college ID number. We want an ID number where we can punch in and get fed at the cafeteria. That's the number we want. We don't want, because I didn't have a mom or I didn't have a dad, I robbed his bank, or I didn't have a mom and dad, so screw football. I'm just gonna go over here and hang with them because they all can relate. No, you have brothers on the team that's going through the same thing, that's using that hurt into something good. So there's a high number of it. I think we do a good job of like attacking it, and I just communicate with the parents that communicate back and forth, and the parents that don't, because some of them are super busy, because they got other kids. So those are the kids that we're talking to a lot, a little bit more. Some of the kids that don't need all the mentoring, checking on them once in a while, or during the workouts, paying more attention to them. Because that's the time we can get with them. But the guys that need all the attention in the world, we give them a fair share of love. It's hard when you try to do a recruiting coordinator too, man, but it gets done.
Hey.
Oh man. Well, gentlemen, I mean, this is amazing. And Adam, I mean, we'll definitely come back to anything else that we may have as far as asking you or asking about your program, because we're definitely going to get back to King to King, because we want to know a lot more about that and how people can research that and definitely figure out a way to connect with you for that. So gentlemen, let's jump into a little bit of NBA talk really, really quickly, and let's address the matter. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, because of the Corona phase of 2020, we are halfway, officially, it is the month of June, we are halfway through 2020, and it's amazing how weird it has been without sports.
Killing me, man.
Nationwide, worldwide.
This is a damn sports podcast. We haven't been able to talk about sports for 3 months.
Can you believe that, guys? It took a Michael Jordan documentary just to get us to keep you guys entertained, because there were no sports around. Right now, in this time, we'd be getting ready for the NBA Finals. Could you believe it? It's crazy how life turns. But nonetheless, it looks like we got this news. Looks like the NBA, to those who didn't already know, the NBA season is scheduled, quote unquote, to start officially again. The plans are for them to start July 31st of this year. So as far as structure goes, Mr. Silver put out a statement, and he says the NBA will invite 22 teams to Orlando, 13 from the Western Conference, 9 from the Eastern Conference, to play 8 regular season games per team. Play in for the 8 seeds. July 31st through October 12th is the initial goal here of the rest of this NBA season. If the 9th seed is more than 4 games behind, the 8th seed will make the playoffs. if the 9th seed is less than the 4 games behind, there will be a play in a tournament. So it looks like they're just doing a whole different structure.
Just doing a bunch of shit
all over the place. It's all
damn.
over. It's everywhere, people. It's everywhere.
Hey, you know what? Let me just first say this. Adam, you can say what team you're a fan of, but I'm a Knicks fan, and they fucking expanded the playoffs and still missed it. I don't know what else to do. I don't. I really like. If not for the Bills changing things around, I'd be the most miserable fucking sports fan ever. I'm a Knicks fan, a Sabres fan, a Bills fan, a Bandits fan for lacrosse. And the Bandits are all right, but dude, the fucking Knicks. How do we get 22 teams in the playoffs and they still don't make it? I don't understand. I can't. We won't see the Knicks for, you know what? It's probably a good thing. We won't see the Knicks for 10 months. I won't get stressed out. I won't have a heart attack at 50. No Knicks. We're good. All right. Adam, what's your favorite team?
Hey, I'm a basketball fan, but I'm a LeBron fan. You know what I'm saying? Like I like LeBron. When I was in high school, LeBron was dropping buckets. Like I was reading about LeBron in high school, so he living off of me. You know what I'm saying? So same age.
There you go.
But I like LeBron. There's some good teams in the NBA though, man. But I just haven't, got that much around to it just recently. But I think that this was their best chance to win something. But as long as it ain't the Warriors, I'm good. We're good.
Man,
well,
they're not even invited, so screw them.
Yeah, we know as of this year that was officially the worst team in the NBA, I believe. Yes, but don't let that fool you, people, because come next year, it's gonna be a whole different turnaround for that Warriors team.
Man, it'll be fully healthy.
They're not dead yet. It was just
so wait, Dwayne, who are you a fan of?
Okay, so everyone who knows me knows that I am a Chicago Bulls fan first. Which they definitely will not be making it. They're still in rebuild mode and they're getting closer, but they weren't making it this year, so I know they aren't in that. However, I am a hometown resident of Memphis, Tennessee. That is my hometown, my home city. So by nature, I am a default Grizzlies fan as well. Hey. And I know they are included in that 22 teams because we were right there at that 8th seed, and there were some teams trying to get up there, but we were holding it down. My man Ja was coming through.
Ja so listen, I always loved the grind Grizzlies, man. The Tony Allen, Randolph, Marcus Gasol. That was
you put that pretty strong.
Listen, hey, you know what? You put that team in any other era, I think they won one chip. They just so happened to run into LeBron, and they so happened to run into fucking the best team of all time with the Warriors. It's like, come on, man.
Well, let's not forget the Spurs. We can't knock the Spurs because unfortunately, out of any team in the West, the Spurs were actually our number one nemesis. Because Timmy Duncan, they swept us when we had a chance to go to the finals one year. But
they whooped your ass.
We would take it. No, it wasn't always a whooping. We took it to them, but for some reason, we just couldn't get past that one team in the West. It was okay though. I'll take it. They beat LeBron in them, so I'll take it. That tells me if they could do it, we could have did it. But it's cool.
So I think it's been so. Honestly, it's going to be longer than a typical offseason till they play again.
Yeah.
So
what's
only
intriguing?
thing you can really depend on is experience. You got LeBron. You got Kawhi. So like the two top West teams are the only teams that are really going to have a chance.
Yep.
Who else? I mean, the other experienced team isn't making the playoffs. The Warriors. I mean, they're not even healthy anyway.
Well, now if our man Derek was on this here show.
Oh,
I know he's listening.
Here we go.
He's gonna say something about those Boston Celtics.
I wish you could have met. No, wait. I don't wish you could have met the owner because all he is just Celtics all the time.
Hey, did the Bucks invite us?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. They were a top team. I think they were they were 2 or 3 in the East.
I don't know if any team can really. So LeBron went through the lockout and won a chip.
He did. That was a lock year. Oh,
against OKC. So who really has gone through that and won a chip? Something like this.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all it comes down to.
Yeah, this is different from the lockout season because
it's definitely different. It's definitely different. Mid-season, out of nowhere.
Yeah, because the lockout year was like before the season started. That kind of deal. You knew it was gonna start.
It was probably happening anyway.
Yeah. But in this instance, momentum was just swinging, because everybody knows that you wait with NBA season, there's two things: the start of the season, then the halfway point with the All-Star game. And then after the All-Star game, after All-Star weekend, everybody's paying attention to the NBA season because they're like, now teams are really going to start playing for real because playoffs are.
Bro, we were right there. And then this damn virus.
That's when I pay attention to it. That's when everybody gets their V8 engines running. They get their supercharged Hemis
I
up.
need to listen. So here's the thing. Again, as a Knicks fan, right? So I suffer through watching the whole season. But if I didn't watch the whole season, I'd suffer coming to the end of the season knowing they're 40 games behind. So it's like it's a catch-22 for me because they suck. They just suck. I'm depressed. But it's
Brother,
all right.
Listen, look, my Chicago Bulls is trash too, so I can't.
Man, you ain't as trash as us. At least you gotta fucking focus. We got a dumbass owner who doesn't know how to fucking make a statement when people are getting killed. Never mind. Yeah. We can go deeper than that.
Oh, Jonathan almost went timeout on us. Hey, hold on. It ain't timeout. We on the sideline.
Sideline guys. Sideline. Sports only. But yeah, it's so other than that, I'm a big LeBron fan. I can't say I'm a what they say, like a LeBron apologist or whatever. But I do appreciate his greatness. The Jordan versus LeBron debate, honestly, in my opinion, is stupid. Realistically, you're comparing point guard to shooting guard, which doesn't make any sense because he's the greatest point guard of all time, period. You can't say anything about that. But also scores. I mean, he's going to be one of the great. Probably he'll be number one, right? I think by the end of his career, he's close to be over Kareem. Yeah. I mean, so a guy who's deemed the best point guard of all time will still be the greatest scorer of all time as well, statistically. It's like, how can you hate that? I mean, like, and he's won chips. It's not like he's no offense to Barkley, but it's not like he's Barkley. He just balled out and never won a chip. He still won a chip. So, I don't know. I think LeBron wins it. It's almost that simple. But we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see. Especially, I guess this means regular season awards. They didn't mention anything about that, but I'm assuming they're going to pick up where that left off too.
Oh, so that means James Harden's going to cry again.
MVP. Everybody felt like LeBron was getting MVP this season, so I'm guessing if it continues, then he'll be the front runner, I guess, again. We'll see. What's really interesting, though, I don't know if you gentlemen noticed that, is what really gets me about this late season start is that July 31st to October the 12th. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. A, there's two things wrong with that picture. A, we're talking October. That's mid-football season. B, the NBA normally starts in October.
October 31st usually.
Yeah. So how is this going to work?
I think they'll probably cut off at least 20 games for next season. Yeah. That's what I think 20 games are usually played before Christmas. About 20 games.
Christmas or so.
Yeah. I mean, that's when they did the lockout season. They started Christmas Day. So that could be like the grand event. Christmas Day, NBA starts, and just have a shorter season. So that would be, 2 months off? I mean, that's enough time for them to recover. So
it could. Well,
that's usually what they get. That's usually what they get if they do the Olympics, anyways. Some of those guys that do the Olympics and stuff, they usually only get like a month and a half.
Yeah, you're right. That's less. They actually get less. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's all through the end of beginning of September. I think it ends the Olympics. So.
Yep. True. Yeah. Like I said, Corona gave us plenty of off time anyway. So I mean, hopefully these brothers stayed in shape.
LeBron did. Listen, LeBron. Listen, he didn't give a shit about no social distancing. He opened up that big ass court he has. He was like, listen, y'all boys, y'all all staying here. I have 42 rooms in this house. You can bring your family. You can bring your grandma. We practice it.
Practice. Practice. Not a game.
Practice.
This is Corona practice. This is different.
Masked and maybe the Bane mask,
Okay. Hitting on that oxygen machine one time. Okay. All right.
Just don't share it.
Don't share.
Yeah, man. So we'll see where it goes. I think LeBron wins it, man. It's almost that simple to me, but I'm excited to watch ball. I don't care what.
I am too.
Man, I will watch picket ball, whatever the fuck you call it. I need sports. Bro, I was watching golf. I never watched golf. I was watching golf. I was like, ooh, yes. Oh, what just happened? Let me call my boy real quick. Yo, what just happened? They didn't know. But shit, I was watching it.
I kind of found myself watching tennis a little bit. So,
right. You know it's rough when you watching tennis. God,
yeah.
no offense to tennis people.
He sounded depressed bringing that up too, though. So you know it's bad.
I mean, well, you know, my girl is into tennis. She played tennis, so I can't knock tennis.
Listen, I don't knock it. I respect. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I respect it. I do know, the people who do well in it, but that's about it. I can't lie.
It's fun to play on video games too. I will say it's a fun game to play on video games.
The Wii was lit.
Wii is the best one to play though.
Hell yeah! I used to whoop my mom's ass. She used to get pissed. She knows it. I'll tell her. I'm recording this too.
Come on now. Don't get in trouble later, John.
I know. No, you're not invited to dinner no more, bitch. Yeah, man. So, we'll see where the NBA season goes. I'm excited. We need some sports. We need something to. I hate to use the word distract, but we need something to keep us busy. Yes. And any sports is a great avenue for that. So,
totally agree. So, now that the NBA talk is definitely out of the way, we're looking forward to seeing what happens come July 31st. But in the meantime, we did see an NFL draft take place, virtual. We know who's got what. Now, both of you gentlemen are Bills fans, so really quick, really quick. What did you guys think about your draft this year as far going into this offseason? How do you guys feel?
So, it's funny because with the lack of off-season training with the team, I don't know if any rookie at all is going to make an impact. I mean, you're going to see so maybe some first-rounders because they're usually typically the higher prospects and whatnot. But, I mean, for us, we didn't have first-round pick because we traded it for Diggs, which he's about to ball out. You know what I mean? Josh Allen about to ball out. You know what I mean? But, I think offensive positions may be able to have that impact, but McDermott's defense is complex. I mean, it's simple, but at the same time, it's complex. I don't know if any of the defenders we drafted, I mean, DN possibly, but, depending on the system they came from, they may have a lot to learn still. So I love the draft. I thought every player they grabbed was good. Obviously, I don't know. Nobody knows every player we draft until you look into it. I did look into them when we drafted them, and, I think Zach Moss is going to make an impact as running back, and Espinoza should at defensive end, but the offseason is going to kill a lot of rookies' progress. So we'll see what they're doing. But I was happy with it. Can't complain. For not having a first-round pick, we did pretty good.
Definitely agree, man. Only thing I would like to see was the J.K. Dobbins in our first round, second. You know what I'm saying? I love Singletary. With him with Singletary, man, like you just don't get no better. I've seen J.K. Dobbins 2 years ago when I went to Ohio State, and I was in a meeting with him and sitting down a little bit from him. That dude from 2 years ago to now is a horse. Any guy to carry that many carries in those games, and the game when he had the ankle injury, oh man, that was Singletary with a quarterback with Diggs. Oh man, I thought it was a no-brainer. Like I like the defensive end, but I'm taking JK. I'm taking Dobbins.
So I'm wondering if for the Bills though, if they had AJ rated so high, I wonder if they had him in their books as like a top 15 pick. So when he fell to them in the second round, they were probably like, "Yo, hold on, we can't pass on the guy we had graded this high." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they knew they needed a running back, and who the hell wouldn't want J.K. Dobbins? I don't care what anybody says. You put him on any team, he's making an impact. He's a baller.
Now he went to the Ravens now, I believe. So
fucking bullshit. The Ravens? Come on, man. How did you know what? It's like the rich get richer. And it's always the Ravens, the Patriots. Not anymore. Fuck them. But they Ravens about to ball out. But you know what? I ain't afraid of nobody, man. We here. Josh Allen about to ball out.
Man, we definitely got the conference.
It's I was just about to ask you gentlemen that, because now I know you gentlemen as Bills fans are very, very happy that the divorce has finally happened between Brady and the Patriots. Now, meaning we shall finally see, because that's what I'm most looking forward to with this football season. We get to finally see, was it the coach, was it the quarterback, or was it a combination of the both?
Man, that's
the Bills
an exciting story.
Actually will be able to determine that. Because if you guys take over and dominate the division, and kill Belichick's reign, all of a sudden that makes Brady look good. Unless he bombs in the AFC South and then or the NFC South, I'm sorry, and well, then all of a sudden the Bucks end up being last in the division and they're gonna make playoffs.
Listen, it's fun. A lot of people around Buffalo are like, we wanted to take down Brady. Man, time out. First of all, fuck that. I'm glad he's gone. He's a legend. No matter how much we hate him, and I hate him, he's a legend. He's out of our way. I want to win the division. I don't care how. I want to be drunk as hell at a home Bills game in the playoffs. That's all I want. So if Brady had to leave for it, bye, Brady. Listen, I don't know who truly made the impact. I think they're a great combination, obviously, Belichick and Brady. Belichick's a mastermind. He's not going to give up. It's not going to be an easy win going there or even them coming to us. We have to respect it. I mean, they've dominated us for 20 years. So nobody in Bills land, well, it don't matter what fans think because we don't play. But as long as the players know they got to do work, which I've always trusted McDermott ever since he's made the playoffs with that ragtag team in 2017. I mean, the talented team, but they were just horrible in a sense of the year before. Belichick's a mastermind. I don't sleep on him, man. I don't.
Yeah.
Not until we beat him. We got to prove it. So.
Yeah, he had Matt Castle at 9-7. What was it? 9-10 and 6.
11-5. 11-5.
11-5.
Yeah,
and
he got a big contract after that.
Yeah, he balled out.
Yeah, we see where that went.
Well, hey, listen.
Hey, not our wasted money. We don't care. Not our wasted money.
Shit.
That's true.
Well, I'm surprised though, because usually the Bills do something stupid like that in the past, But man, we have a chance. Our defense improved. Obviously, we were top three number 2 last year to the Patriots. Obviously, improved where we could. The offense obviously gets better with Diggs. Josh Allen does so. I love Josh Allen. I think he's doing great for what we all projected him to do. But he needs to get better. I mean, you can't look at either his stats or his film and not tell me he needs to make improvements. The deep ball, the consistency. I love his edge, his leadership. Sometimes that leadership and that edge gets a little too crazy because, as you see against the Texans in the playoffs, this man throwing laterals in the middle of the field. He's turning purple. It's like, bro, relax. He's from a small school, so I get it. But he has a lot to improve on. But we have a chance, man. I think the Bills definitely have a chance.
So realistically, who do you guys completely, somewhat fear of the other 3 teams in your division?
Injuries.
Yeah. I was going to say that's
injuries.
I agree.
That's it.
So fear.
Okay.
I would say fear nobody, but respect everybody. Because even the Patriots and on their dominating, era, they always lost to the Dolphins away. Mind you, when the Dolphins, like the one year they didn't was when the Dolphins were 0-16.
Yep.
So but every other year they have lost to them away. So we can't sleep on that. And mind you, we're playing the AFC North, the NFC West, the AFC West. No, I'm sorry, AFC West, NFC West, and we play the Titans, who obviously made the playoffs. We have another side game. I can't remember who they are. Don't have the schedule up on me, but obviously good divisions, man. Like we can't sleep on nobody. We need all of those division wins like the Patriots would usually get. You know what I mean? So,
all right.
How about your Titans, Dwayne? Come on, hold on, don't change it.
Look,
because we did whoop that ass. we did whoop that ass. Listen,
you did, but we made it all the way to the AFC Championship, and we fell just a
we
little
got
bit short. Patrick Mahomes.
We got the same ring this year.
I know we got the same ring. I can't argue that. We do have the same ring. That is true. But I'm just saying, we got that close. It's okay. Patrick Mahomes got in the way. It's fine. I can't do nothing but respect Patrick. I can't do nothing but respect it. But it's cool. No, I mean, I like the acquisitions. They did a great job in the draft this year, addressing that line. Keeping Derrick Henry protected. They got a nice offensive tackle. A real big stud too. So as he develops and everything, man, it's going to be interesting to see who can get past that little wall. But also on the defensive end, Christian Fulton, nice corner. Should be interesting to see what he adds to the defensive table because again, after getting torched by Patrick Mahomes, you definitely got to make sure you got
you need like six corners the way he be throwing, man.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
I mean, because that guy.
Who's your quarterback though, man?
Well, right now, unfortunately, they did keep Tannehill, but I'm not. My eyes are actually on who we drafted, and I did some research on this brother, and I think he might actually be a Patrick Mahomes 2.0 if developed right. We got now. It's funny because he's got a nice little name. It's Cole McDonald, baby. Old McDonald. Cole McDonald.
They did
come out
there.
there,
Okay.
Touchdown. But he's a real true gunslinger, man. This man has an arm, one heck of an arm on him, and and he can run. That's a really, really important.
Old school Brett Favre. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. He's got like an old school Brett Favre kind of arm, but he can run too, and he's pretty quick. What stands out is people saw him as a white guy with dreads and was like, yo, that's what stands out to you? Not the fact that this guy's got a gunner arm too and can run. But, I don't think he's going to start right away. It depends on Tannehill because, as you guys know, definitely as Bill fans, you guys know Tannehill very well.
We've made him run away from that division, boy.
Exactly.
That shit.
So it'll be interesting, because I can't remember. What I don't remember is if Tannehill was starting when he played you guys, when we played you. I don't know if he was starting.
No, Mariota.
Or if that
was Mariota.
Was it Mariota? It was Mariota.
Yeah.
So then if it was Mariota, that's no surprise to me. I'm actually glad Mariota's with the Raiders. Best of luck to him. I gave up on him seasons ago. He had some potential, and I thought he was going to live up. But him and Jameis Winston, neither one of them lived up to their potential. It is what it is. Hopefully he does better with the Raiders. He's still a young guy, so more power to him. But Tannehill seems to fit pretty well in this system so far. It's kind of safe because of Derrick Henry, but when he does throw, he seems to play pretty smart. So it'll be interesting to see, if he is still starting by that time, because I don't see Cole McDonald really taking throne right now anytime soon, unless Tannehill just bombs in the whole season or something. It's like, all right, we got to get a rookie a chance to see what he does. Maybe like a Jackson, or dare I say a Jacksonville situation where, cross my heart, hopefully, he doesn't get hurt or something in the start of the season. And then it's like, we got to throw the rookie in there and see what he got.
Definitely.
So we'll see. I like the chances. We'll definitely contend. But as you guys know, it's not an easy division for us either. I don't like you guys said, I fear no one, but respect everyone in that division. Yeah. Texans, Deshaun Watson, always got to fear him. He lost a lot of weapons. Still don't know why they gave up DeAndre, but it is what it is.
I gave him up for a book of food stamps, man.
Exactly. I was like, wait, hold on. Y'all just traded him? Oh, thank you. I was like, thank you.
Man, Titans fan, I'll be happy as hell.
Thank you. You're making this a little easier for us, but they still got Deshaun Watson, and I love Deshaun. So I don't – as long as he's on that team, I respect the Texans and what they got. Yeah. I look at the Colts. You can never count the Colts out. They've always got something going on. They don't have Andrew Luck, obviously, anymore.
They got Phillip, though. I mean, we'll see what he does.
They're going to make some moves, too, and do their thing. Phillip Rivers is a nice little vet, so we'll see what he does for them.
Right.
And, of course, I can't even sleep on Jacksonville because Jacksonville sort of has quarterback issues somewhat. It's hard to tell which one they're going to go with sometimes. But
man, don't give Doug Marrone any fucking credit. Fuck him. Doug Marrone is trash, bro.
Is he trash?
He's a trash coach.
Everyone knows he's trash, man.
Jalen Ramsey did kind of want to get out of there pretty quick.
That man will punt on the 1 yard line. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Punt Marrone.
Nonetheless, though, it's going to be a good season. I'm looking forward, like you guys, I'm looking forward to this season. Like I said, we are going to get that rematch. I saw that on the schedule. It's a little late in the schedule, but it should be interesting to see where we line up by then. Hopefully, we're both two stud contending teams, and it's a good game. And we'll see who the better team is for that particular game. Maybe meet again in the playoffs. We'll see, But yeah, man, I'm excited like you fellas. I cannot wait for football season. Again, it's right around the corner. We are almost there. So, gentlemen, speaking of which, let's talk about a certain quarterback right now who apparently, and again, guys, this is the Sideline Guys. It's not timeout, but I have to address this because Drew Brees is like Drew Brees. So imagine my surprise to find out the Drew Brees, the man who always did the most epic pregame warm-up chants. I for sure thought this guy was always a part of the family. I'm shocked. I can't believe it. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on what Mr. Brees had to say? Are you surprised? Are you?
So, well, no, I'm not surprised. So, I always knew he leaned towards the MAGA, right? Trump, all that. Mm-hmm. But honestly, man, like I hate to say that anybody that likes Trump is automatically this, that, and another. Everybody has a right to their opinions. Everybody has a right to their political party, things like that. So I never had an issue. I knew he was pro-Trump, whatever. I never thought it was a thing. But this man gets interviewed, obviously during one of the biggest movements of our country. You know, people rioting, looting, which isn't even the biggest concern for me. Obviously, it is a concern, but the most important thing is the protesting. You know, we have people out there fighting for minority lives, and again, we're talking about minority lives. We're not talking about minority rights or any. I mean, which, mind you, they deserve those as well. We deserve those as well. We talk about life. You know, people dying at the hands of brutality. It ain't. There's no middle ground. No one deserves to die. I mean, it's that simple. And for him to come out there and say, you know, obviously, you know, he made his opinions. I hate the looting. I hate the shooting. I hate the this. I hate the that. Okay, well, what would you like us to do, Drew Brees? Well, I think a peaceful protest makes more sense. Okay, like Colin Kaepernick did? Oh, not that protest, though. Nope, not that one, because I love that flag. Nope. You're full of shit. Fuck you, Drew Brees. I'm sorry. Excuse my language. I don't know if you have kids in the background, Adam. But
good.
But fuck them. How dare you, in a time like this, speak of only the flag and try to speak for all servicemen and women? Because I know, bro, I have a screen-recorded screenshot of hundreds of servicemen and women commenting saying, you don't speak for me. I fought for Colin's right to do that. I fought for all of the NFL players to do that. And then they say, stick to sports. Okay, what do you do for a living? I'm a janitor. Well, stick to cleaning floors. We don't say that. We're all citizens. It don't matter if you're rich, poor, in between. In fact, if you're rich, you have a duty to speak up. If you're in a platform like Adam is with King to King, or we are with On the Sidelines, we have to speak up because we have the voice. We have the influence. So how dare you say they need to respect the flag? I'll never respect anybody that kneels for the flag. You don't have the right to say that. You don't. And it speaks from a privileged standpoint. You never had that right. The only comment he should have made is, I will personally stand for the flag because that's what I believe in, but I respect those who don't. That's all you needed to say. But you had to bring your own shit into it during a time where someone was just fucking murdered last week.
Yeah.
There's no debate. It's life. We're talking about life. We are trying to lead the next generation. What is he teaching his kids? What is he teaching his kids? What are all of them teaching their kids? While we're fighting, a perfect example, Adam's here fighting for young kids to get out of worse situations in life. You got the other ones pushing them down. What the fuck? How dare he? He has no right.
I feel the same way, man. Like he goes on my top 3 shit list right now between the NFL, the 49ers, and him. Like the 49ers and the NFL now wanted to do the Blackout Tuesday yesterday, but then they didn't support the guy that was doing the peaceful protesting. They fired the guy, and now they want to mock his protest. That's what I call it. They didn't apologize and say, hey, we apologize because we were given the avenue, we were given the platform 2-3 years ago to say he's right. They were given that platform before anybody else. They did not take it. Then Drew Brees has a big platform, a huge platform from whites, blacks, everyone. the black people done adopted Drew Brees. I felt like,
man, this man's in New Orleans, bro, predominantly black area.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean,
they
come on.
adopted him, and then all of a sudden you sit there and say something like that. Like, as a leader, it shocked me that he said that, especially with Malcolm Jenkins on the team. Me personally, I would ignore that question. Like, hey, I'm gonna talk to my man Malcolm Jenkins first before I answer all that, right. Or don't even answer it. Avoid it. At a time like this, like you're saying, at a time like this, you avoid something like that. I just seen Jalen Ramsey spitting game before we started this to the quarterback that came from Ohio State, Hawkins.
Haskins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's spitting game to Haskins. Haskins making a post like, why do we care about athletes with their platforms at a time like this? Jalen Ramsey like, bro, people that need the voice don't have the platform. We're here to have that platform and give it to the people that can't be heard. This guy goes and has the platform. The NFL had the platform. The 49ers had the platform, and they ignored it. Now the 49ers and the NFL is like, oh yeah, we support this platform. No, you don't. That's fake. People don't forget about that. They have right now, but hopefully when they see this, they be like, oh wow, that is right. Drew Brees has a platform that helps many, many people. Like Malcolm Jenkins said, bro, like you lead chants before the game. Talk about brothers and family. And you ignored the whole purpose. So what family are you part of? I can see him asking for a trade soon. Jenkins.
Listen, and Michael Thomas was pissed off on Twitter too, so you don't know if he even asked for one.
And his comments was like up and down with me. He was like, he don't know no better. No, brother, you know better.
Oh, but Darius Slade had commented on it and Jenkins, and they're like, yo, bro, he knows.
He knows.
Listen, he's a grown man, and I hate people using ignorance ain't an excuse.
No, never. Ooh.
You know what I mean? Because there are look, I'll say there are people who obviously are just raised with that mindset. They're again, we talk about generations and the people we raise. There are people that just that's their way of thinking. They've known nothing else, right? And Brees may be stuck in that, but it just scares me for the next generation and who he's influencing.
Who is he teaching? Yeah.
Who's he teaching? Who's he having an impact with? Who's he going to have these camps with? I mean, he's going to be on TV soon enough. They're already talking about TV contracts for him. You know, when does when he sees someone kneeling on a pregame, he's going to make a dumbass comment. I mean, again, Malcolm Jenkins said it best. There's a time to talk and there's a time to shut the fuck up. And the time to shut the fuck up for white people right now is right now. Unless you're speaking to help. If you ain't got we learned this shit when we were fucking 5 years old. You ain't got nothing nice to say. Don't fucking talk. Don't talk. You don't deserve your platform if you have nothing nice to say. And again, we are talking. I'm the type of person that will be standing on City Hall to my feet fucking break. We are talking about life and death. Nothing else. I don't want to hear all lives matter. Duh. But is your life affected right now? No. Minority lives, black lives are affected right now. That is the concern. And that's what people like us are fighting for every day. But it's so much harder when a motherfucker like Drew Brees is making dumbass comments like that. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you 100%. The NFL is just as at fault. They blackballed him. They did not want him in the NFL because it's a distraction. All right, but y'all had Tim Tebow for 4 years. Who was remember he was a distraction. All the guy, praying and stuff, and the circus everywhere he went.
Yes,
y'all were okay with that. But when Colin speaks about life or death, it's a problem. Come on, man. Y'all don't have a right to make these statements to speak.
It actually is kind of funny that you brought up Mr. Tebow because, I do kind of wonder about that. Sometimes the NFL makes me wonder about stuff like that. Because if Tim Tebow were an African-American Christian, open about his faith the way he's been and doing the same actions,
Gone.
Would that, you know what I mean? Like, take the same hype Tebow has that he had coming into the NFL and all that. Put that on a black athlete with that same hype, that same glorification. Everybody's loving him and this and that.
Right.
However, the moment he's opened up and was like, yo, I'm a believer, I love God, this and that, and he's doing exactly what Tebow did. Maybe even a better quarterback for that matter.
I was about to ask if is it the same trash arm? Or
No. Like, let's say I'm just on a hype standpoint. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, gotcha.
Everybody's talking about him. Everybody's loving him. He's got that look, that smile. Like, picture The Rock or somebody. You know how everybody loves The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? Like, so let's say an African-American athlete on that type of level, right? That charisma, smile, charm, all of that. Same type of hype as Tebow, mainstream attention from everybody. But then the moment he opens up about faith and starts kneeling before games and getting the teammates to do so and all of that, would that be a problem because of the complexion? Or
He'd be gone.
no?
He'd be gone.
You know, just make me wonder with that. You know,
instead of the 5 years he had in the league, he would have had 2. I mean,
if that, maybe one. Who knows? You know.
Oh, it's definitely a one and done.
Yeah.
Definitely a one and done.
One and done.
You know what I'm saying? Not to compare that to anything else, but like look at the guy that came out before he got drafted. That was, gay, saying he one and done. Now if you put that on somebody else, is they one and done? I don't know. I don't think so. That dude could ball though. He wasn't a slouch.
You know, everything's a distraction until it fits your agenda. That's all.
Crazy
that's all it is.
That works.
That's all it is. And the NFL, Drew Brees, and any other person who speaks up, not recognizing the issue at hand, can go somewhere. I don't want to hear statements. I don't. Roger Goodell is not sincere with that statement. It was typed up by one of his assistants. He don't care. If you cared, Kaepernick. If you cared, you would have forced a team to sign. I don't care whether people believe it or not. If you could force people to not be signed, you could force people to be signed.
Yeah.
The day George Floyd died, you should have hired Colin Kaepernick.
I say he deserves a lifetime job right now on the board of something in the NFL.
And that's interesting you say that. So I don't even talk. We're not talking just football. I think he still can play better than some of these backups now. Because ain't no reason Nate Peterman should still have a job. We know.
Oh
Adam.
my God.
We know.
Yeah, that's something you Bills fans like to forget.
I don't forget, because that's my proof to prove that Colin should have a job. That's my proof. I'm proud. I'm sad to say this, Bills fan. I'm proud to say it as an activist. That if you can have this individual out here throwing 5 picks in the first half, but you can't have Colin backing up. Come on.
Now look at Cam Newton can't even back nobody up.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, that's
another thing.
And you know what? You talk about Cam. And what's the biggest thing they say with him? His character. He has character issues. This and that. I have articles. I've saved these articles. Okay, I'm not bullshit. I can send it to you guys right now. Of plenty of players saying Cam Newton was a leader.
Oh
in
man.
Community, on the field.
Oh yeah.
There were rookie undrafted players, 6 round picks that obviously don't make much. Stayed at his house. He had like a house, but like a small house next to it. What do you call it? I can't remember the name of it. Family house, whatever you call it. Pool house, something like that. Yeah. Had him stay there. He checked on their sick family members. Things. Mind you, not just money wise, was actually out in the community doing things, not just giving money and saying, "Okay, I'm done with it." Mm-hmm. Where do you get to say this man is a problem?
Man,
because of shit that happened in college? Come on.
Can I be honest? I want to be honest with y'all, actually. I'm glad you brought up Cam Newton, because here's the thing. And again, this isn't timeout. I know this is Sideline Guys, but look, we are in an open world right now, so we got to get this out there. Now, I don't know what it is. It's kind of funny because after just talking about Tebow, he's actually a guy that I could very much compare, because much like Tebow, He's got charisma. He's got a smile. And you just said it. He's a leader. He's definitely a man of faith. I've seen it. I've seen a man working out to gospel music, for crying out loud.
Right.
Definitely a man of faith. This man has done a lot. Now, let's look at that MVP season, the season everybody talks about with Cam, right? I'll never forget that as much as that man did with that team, barely any weapons, need I mind you, while doing that, media did not pay the Carolina Panthers much attention, if at all. You know, they were very slept on throughout that entire season. It wasn't until they hit like probably 13-0 or so at that point or something where it was like, oh, man, we got to start paying these Panthers attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what really got me was all the way leading up from the time the regular season ended to when the playoffs started to when the playoffs – and they got all the way to the Super Bowl. The narrative on Cam Newton seemed to be, oh, he's too charismatic. You know, he's always dancing. He's got his teammates dancing, this and that. We don't like that. We don't like that. But what really gets me, personally, I know a lot of white people that I've come across, for whatever reason, they would talk about the Panthers and they'd be like, oh, I like the Panthers. I just don't like Cam Newton. And in my mind, as an African-American, I'm sitting there listening, and I'm really trying to figure out, well, why don't you like Cam? Is he not helping them win games? Is he not leading the team? Is he not an important part of that team? Because we're darn sure about to see what these Panthers look like. I mean, they still got my boy McCaffrey, but, you know, he can only do so much. So, I mean, we're really about to see what these Panthers look like without Cam, because if they bomb completely, there's some questions that need to be answered, because the Panthers just cut ties with the man that won you an MVP, took you to a Super Bowl, and you just cut him like that. It very much has a Colin Kaepernick feel to it.
Yes,
and
sir.
I just don't understand it. I really don't. I it should have been on the Chicago Bears. Lord knows they need a quarterback. He's way better than Trubisky ever was.
How did Dalton get to the Cowboys before he did?
Exactly. You see what I mean? Like, I'm really having a hard time processing this. And as a, you know, given what's going on right now, especially as an African American, and Adam, I know you can attest for this. Like, I do feel some type of way a little bit about this, because it's like, hold on, like it's not just – it's one thing when they do this with coaches, but now I'm seeing it with players where it's like, hold on, Cam Newton, again, a winning quarterback. Colin Kaepernick, a winning quarterback. Vince Young, in his day, a winning quarterback. He has some struggles too, because as a Titans fan, I'm here to let y'all know, people talk about Vince Young's career and how it downfalled, and yes, he played a part in that with immaturity moments and everything. But Jeff Fisher did not like him nor want him. That was the owner. The owner wanted Vince Young at that time. That's how he ended up on Tennessee. Won the Rookie of the Year and had a lot of potential to do more at that point. Injuries played a part, yes, but at the end of the day, Jeff Fisher did not like Vince Young, did not want him in that system.
You know what? That just speaks to the consistent dumb decisions the NFL makes. I mean, overall, in terms of whether it comes to community or hiring the same coaches over and over again. Jeff Fisher gets jobs everywhere. This guy gets jobs everywhere. It's the same cycle, the same thing. I mean, what is it? That sounds just like what we're going through today.
Yeah, and even RG3, because I can't forget RG3 either. Everybody seems to forget that man was a beast.
Right.
And what happened?
Shanahan ain't like him.
They decided to play him and run him knowing that he was injured.
Yep.
And continue
Ran him to the ground.
Ran him to the ground. To where we don't know what he is to this day at this point. So I do admit, man, like, the black quarterback has always been an issue in the NFL. And that's one thing I've always known. I've always had, my only problem with the NFL has always been every other position is okay being black except quarterback for some odd reason.
It's the
right?
face. That's
Because
why.
I look at Russell Wilson,
Yeah.
a black man, right? It's a matter of time before the Seahawks organization tries to do something to push Russell Wilson out. You know, he's got a golden boy feel to him, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, they're going to do him an injustice. I guarantee you, at some point.
The NFL wants things. This is how you need to do it at all times. And
Yeah.
when you get charismatic, inspiring people like Cam or players like him that are not white, they have an issue with it. But if a white individual is like that, it's he's so passionate. He's so this. Brady's out here screaming at his coaches. You gotta love that passion. Cam throws his helmet. Cam's a problem. Well, Cam's a problem. Come on, man. We see what's going on. We see where the media points things.
Just look at the draft. I don't mean to cut you off, but just thinking about the draft, of every person that got drafted that was of color, they brought up something traumatic. Higgs, his mom was a 20-year clean from drugs, or 5-year, whatever it was. This guy, he shot his brother. You know, it was just all negative stuff that had nothing to do with their draft pick. Oh, he's drafted number 5 because he came from the hood of this. The hood of what? Like, why? Why?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with that. Let him tell his own story. Let him use his platform eventually to tell that. You talking about a player for 3 minutes and 2.5 of it is about his past.
Right.
Why? That has nothing to do with his 50 touchdowns he just scored in college.
You know what? Where I see the point being is that they strived and went past it and got past it, but that ain't their right to tell that.
Nope.
Like you said, let them tell their own story. It's that simple.
Adam, you brought up a good point to yet another thing that, because Jonathan, weren't you the one that brought up the other point of that same draft that me nor Derek kind of really realized? I think it was either you or it was Derek, but I recall one of you gentlemen mentioning that every time a black player got drafted this year, you would see the family, the aunties, the uncles, the whole family for this draft at their house. Then you saw a white person get drafted, just him and his parents.
Yeah.
Literally. Just, yeah, it's nothing. We're just here. You know, like.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
They always try to point things a certain way, my man.
Yeah.
And that's media. That's a driven narrative. It's funny. They could easily push these narratives that they want to push, but the one narrative we need them to push, they refuse to do it. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Push that. Push it the way you push everything else you push. We'll maybe start to see some change.
Yeah. Or some understanding at least.
Some understand. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like you might not, like, we want the change, yes. But if you even push it enough where, like I said earlier, we changed our culture on our football team because they've seen it all the time. They've seen it on their wristband. They've seen it in meetings. We talked about it in position meetings. We talked about it after that. We talked about it the day after the game. We talked about it constantly throughout the season and the off season. When people see positive stuff, they want to do positive stuff. When they see negative stuff, they want to do negative stuff. Like, there's more positive in this world than negative ever. But the way the news – that's why I haven't watched the news in probably like 15 years, 20 years. Because all it is negativity. Once this player – look at what's his name they just got for Bills, Oliver. I'm guarantee you he probably done helped out athletes in this summer. But as soon as he got, arrested for nothing really, a cup or whatever it was, something minor, that was broadcasted for weeks at a time. But I guarantee if he gives a family a house, that's broadcasted for an hour, and that's it. Spread too much hate, man. They spread too much hate.
Wow. And
Sports brings us together, dog.
It really does. It really does. And this is why sports is very well missed. I myself, as an artist, also can agree with that because much like sports, music and sports go very hand in hand with what they do in uniting people because it's a neutral field, a neutral world, like you said, where we are together. You know what I mean? And even the other cause and effect of the music world is also what you just said about the news, though. You see, because there's tons of positive music out there that is actually making its way. You know, you're starting to hear it more in the movies and on the ESPNs and stuff like that. You're starting to hear more of the positive music, but for some reason, it still slightly gets overlooked compared to the negative stuff, the stuff that puts the same subliminal message in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go party over here, go smoke that, go drink that, go make sure you go do some wild and crazy things so, you know, you can get stopped, pulled over, and possibly end up in the jail cell for the rest of your life or something. Or just, you know, be a problem on the field. You know,
Crazy.
be a distraction.
I talked to our head coach last night, and he made something that was very eye-opening to me and my young guy, Jimmy Scott. He was like, man, the world's going through a chaos right now. He's like, but don't be naive. There's more whites than blacks doing the looting. They're not putting us out there like that. And this came from a white coach. I won't say that coach's name, but he's at a university. For him to say that to a kid that he's recruiting, wow. You know, right. We need more people like that to say that. We need more. They need that their platform is being used. That coach is using his platform. You know what I'm saying? But to hear a coach say that to a young kid, like, you know, I can't understand what you're going through, but also don't be naive and don't let them paint a picture that is you guys destroying stuff, because it's not. It's us. Yeah. He apologized to the kid. Never met the kid. That was the first time the head coach called the kid. But this is what needs to be pushed, and the narrative that needs to be pushed is the positivity more than this negative stuff, man.
It's like I said, it's always a narrative they try to push for views rather than the truth. I mean, you see only the violence on TV or the negative things. It's like there's so many people. I mean, we had we talked about some time out. There was an instance of a cop that got lost during the protest or the violence in New York City, and they had people, all minorities, guarding him to make sure he didn't get jumped. Where was that picture? I would have only saw it on Twitter. And when it comes to the people speaking up, I've said this every day, and I'll continue to say it every day. Silence is compliance. When you're silent, you comply with it. You allow it to happen. We need the majority. We need the people with platforms to speak up and help make that difference. Period.
I agree. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to wrap this thing up because it's been heavy, and I want to end this thing on a very, very great note, because I know we got a little controversial there, and like I said, this is the Sideline Guys. This ain't timeout, but we had a little timeout-like moment there. But since we have a football coach and a mentor and a leader and a man who's doing great things within his local community, I've got a two-part question for you. And Jonathan, feel free to answer the first part of this question if you would like, because I know we are all great football fans here. So, Mr. Adam, what is your favorite all-time football movie? And the second part to this question would be, as a mentor in your local community, with the success stories that are coming out of what you do, if a director approaches you and says, hey, I like what you're doing, I would love to make a movie based off of what you are doing for your community, what actor would you like to play who you are right now?
Oh, man. You threw a big plot twist right there. Yeah, you know, as far as movie-wise, the first movie that popped in my head, you know, it would be the Willie Beeman, but I'm going to go old school. I'm going to go Boy Scout.
Ooh.
Go Boy Scout. I don't know why, but that's like that pops out in my head a lot more than any given Sunday in the longest yard and all that. But I'll go Boy Scout. If it was a movie, I'll say my man Will Smith. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I love Will Smith. I'll go Will Smith. He a good actor. I think he'll get the passion and the nits and crannies of it.
Okay. Listen, I like that.
I got something offline. I'm going to tell you. The ology, Dwayne. We could talk to Adam about that offline. Another podcast we have coming. You know, don't want to get too deep in it, but something we can bring up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jonathan, in the meantime, before we wrap this thing up, did you have a way you would like to answer it? I mean, even if you're not doing what Mr. Adams doing, I mean, at least for
honestly,
football.
man. So I would say, favorite movie for myself, sports wise, it is Remember the Titans. Just the story and the cultural impact that it actually had, because obviously it's based on a true story, and then had amongst generations of people that still watch the movie to this day. I would say, I can't think of an actor that would play me and what I do. I say every time we do a podcast, like I do this because I genuinely love doing it, whether it's for sports or speaking on injustices or politics, whatever the case is. I don't need nobody to beat me, man. I'm just a small dot on the whole spectrum, and I'm trying to make an impact every little bit I can. So I don't really have an answer for the second part. If that makes sense.
I hear that. Well, I know for me, the first football movie coming to mind right now is Radio, believe it or not. Radio is
okay. All right.
very inspirational. It's a very slept on film, but Radio had a good effect to it, and I think that was a good one. And then if I go the basketball route, gotta go with my man, Coach Carter. Samuel, baby.
Coach
Carter. Because that's definitely a movie that'll teach you a lot about morals, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Can't forget about Coach Carter.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, I'm not a football coach, obviously. I'm just an artist and a host out here doing my thing for the people out there. But I guess there's a guy who's kind of already famous, so I guess it's fitting. They claim I look like this dude named Luke James. I guess so. I guess I'd have that guy play. He's already been in a New Edition movie, and people star. So why not? I guess
Okay.
Luke James.
There you go.
But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that about does it and wraps it up for this edition of the Sideline Guys. But before we go, you already know how we got to end this thing. Gentlemen, tell them where they can find you. And of course, in Adam's case, tell them more to the people who would like to know more about King to King, how they can research it, find it, follow it, all that good stuff.
All right, man. To find me, I'm always on Twitter, inboxing coaches and showing my guys film and stuff. So Twitter is Coach McCann, MCCANN9. And then Instagram, King, the number 2, King Mentoring. On my Twitter, I have my website that I created on my link. So that's all the information you need. My inbox is pretty much open, but pretty much full though on Twitter. So at the same time, I got hundreds of coaches I'm contacting and trying to get all these guys, just not one, but all these guys some looks. But Twitter is where you can find me at all day, every day, baby.
Awesome.
Right.
And Jonathan,
so in lieu of where you can find me, I'm gonna kind of say again what Adam's speaking. So get to King to King, inbox him, ask him, even if you're not in the area. I'm sure he's more than willing to speak to you on anything that's going on. But the most important thing I want to say is thank you for coming on. With the world we're in now, we need more people like you.
Appreciate it.
And the impact you make is so important on the sports level and at a student athlete level and just a community level, man. You're gonna help. If you can save one life, you did your job.
Come on, man.
And that's why I wanted to bring you on, and you're a blessing to the community, and you're gonna keep rising above all that, man. You're gonna keep doing things. So I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that dearly.
Yeah.
Jonathan, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you as always, my friend.
Yeah, you can find me at Johnny__TEE on Twitter. And you can find me anywhere on the Sideline Guys page or anything like that. So just hit me up anytime you guys want to be on a podcast. We're more than open to it.
Awesome. Well, again, Adam, Mr. McCall, we thank you so much again for joining us right here on the Sideline Guys. You are more than welcome to come back on the show, and especially when the NFL season pops off, we would love to have you back on, give some analysts, critique some things. You know what I mean?
To you. Listen, before we play the Titans, we're bringing him in.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Talk that shit.
Is that how we're going to do that? Oh, okay. He's trying to start a war over there. I see what you're doing, Jack. I see what you're doing. You're not slick, but I got you. Nonetheless, this, again, is the Sideline Guys. And until the next time, guys, we out. Peace.
Peace.